Hi golfers, Nick here from Nick Taylor Golf. It's Friday, so welcome to another lesson on golf tips. This week on golf tips we're going to talk a little bit about the low point of the swing and the factors that control it. I've talked about in the past how the best golfers will have lower body weight here and the handle forward. So we're just going to go into a little bit of detail into how that happens and where your body weight should be as you strike the golf ball. So as you know, the best golfers, if they were to hit a ball off this yellow line here, they would never hit behind it. They would always take that ball first, and then the low point of the swing will be just after that line, and that's what we're aiming to do time and time again. The best golfers always strike the ground in the same place every time. As you know, the worst golfers, the highest handicappers, their club varies where it hits the ground. Sometimes it will hit a foot behind, sometimes just before, sometimes they may hit a good one, they may top it or thin it. So there's a big variance in contact, and that's really important. If you're going to improve at golf, you've got to get that contact right. So today we're going to talk about the factors that control it, and the first one is where the weight is. And we can measure the weight by the centre of the shoulders and the centre of the hips. So if I was to swing, the more I move those two centres to the right, the more likely I am to hit the ground before the ball. If I was to do the opposite and move those two centres further forward, the more likely I am to hit the ground on this side, which is where we want to hit. So in the golf swing, a lot of golfers are taught to create power, to move the weight back, but the problem is from there, the more you've moved this way, the more you've got to then move back forward enough, quick enough to hit the ball first in the ground. And I think the best golfers, some of them that do move off the golf ball, they've taught themselves to get forward enough with their weight, quick enough in the downswing. But in an ideal world, we wouldn't want too much shift this way, because that just affects timing and it affects where you control the low point. So we don't really want to be swaying too much to the right in the backswing. So as I said to you a second ago, the more I'm this way, the more likely I am to hit the ground this side. However, the golfer could have all their weight on the left here, lower body weight and the centre of the shoulders a bit further forward, and they could still hit before the line. So there's another piece involved to control where the club hits the ground, and that is the position of the hands, as I've talked about before, but we're just going to look at this from a slightly different angle now. Okay, so I'm going to use this wall here to just help demonstrate how important it is where the hands are and how they affect the golf club. So in the golf swing, the centre of the swing is measured by the left shoulder, and the radius of the swing is the left arm and the club. The circumference of the swing is the club head, and we want that circumference to come down and hit the same point each time. So if I was to stand against this wall and I was to push the handle further forward, the further I push it forward, the more that club comes away from the wall. So if I was to swing and keep the handle forward, I would never hit the wall. However, if I was to swing, have the handle forward at setup, but then as I swing back down, let the club overtake my hands, I would hit further back on the wall. And that's kind of like the same position to the ground. So the more you come down and let the club overtake your hands, and as soon as that club gets in line with your left arm, it's reached its longest point. And the best golfers don't let that happen until just after impact. They'll keep that handle forward as they come through, and that helps them strike the ground consistently, and it stops them from hitting the ground before the ball. Like I said, very important, set up, if I can keep the hands forward, I'm never going to hit that wall. However, I can keep them forward and then release the club for whatever reason, and then I'm striking the ground. And it's funny, because in the golf swing, the way I was taught was in the backswing to move the weight to sort of create power, and then release the hands to square the club face to help hit the ball straight. When really, doing that just makes it harder to control where the club hits the ground, which is probably the most important fundamental. Like I said to you before, the best golfers, they'll always hit the ball first, then the ground. Some of them, like I said, do sway a little bit, do move off the golf ball. They manage to get back their weight further forward, their handle forward, quick enough, fast enough in the downswing to enable them to make good contact with the golf ball. So if you're a golfer that struggles to control your low point, make sure you measure your weight position. Make sure the head hasn't moved too far to the right and stayed there in the swing. Make sure the lower body hasn't moved too far to the right. It's important with the lower body that it's actually further forward than where it started at setup. So by the time I strike the golf ball, I want sort of 80 to 90% of my lower body weight on the left, and also check the handle position. Very important, you try and keep those hands forward as you go through. As soon as you start releasing the hands early, letting that club overtake, you're going to struggle with low point control, and you're going to hit the ground before the golf ball, which is going to lead to inconsistent golf shots. So golfers, when you're practicing, make sure you check these things. Make sure you check where your head position is, make sure you check where your body weight is, make sure you check where the hands are, because they're the things that control where the club hits the ground. So golfers, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps me. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done already, and you can follow me on my other social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram and Twitter.